Welcome to the RAWDOWN. It's your host, Anthony. I'm with Marco, J-Bone. We're all here for just a shitty episode today. Obviously, all plans are out the window. If you saw the original thumbnail, we were going to talk about whatever happened on Raw and SmackDown. That all changed about an hour and a half ago, where the tweet went out from Triple H that stated that he got the call from good old IRS stating that Bray Wyatt has passed away. Real name, Windham Rotunda, 36 fucking years old. He has been away since about February with an undisclosed injury. They didn't really say what it was. There was a lot of speculation about when he would be coming back. It was rumored that he was on his way back to a return this past month. He was getting ready, and then this happens today. So obviously this episode is all about Bray today. There's another passing of Terry Funk that we'll be touching upon later on, but I don't even know where to start on this. I mean, this is I've gone on to talk about how Bray is in my top 5 favorite guys. You know, it's him, Taker, Cena, Hardy, and Shawn, I would say are my top 5 guys, which really ages me and how young I am.
Oh, shut up.
That's it.
God.
It's whatever.
How young you are. Okay. Never mind.
I don't think you meant to. It's his top 5.
Not aging. Aging the other way.
Aging the other way.
Like,
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Never mind.
Like, most people have like Hogan, Ric Flair, all the golden era guys, but
whatever.
Yeah, you got to respect Anthony. He's young and he has
no. I thought he was saying he was like it was like
I was aging myself.
Oh man.
No. I didn't
10
take
years
it that
older.
No, I knew what he was. I knew where he was going.
No, yeah.
Thank you to everyone who's joining us. Like I was saying, Bray's in my top 5, and when he came in 2013, that summer, it was like something that you never had seen before. You know, there obviously have been the spooky characters before, but to me, that was a character that was like, the vignettes and, the sheep mask and everything, the whole package. It was gold to me. So
that was
easily one of my favorite characters. And, we're going to break down kind of our memories of Bray, but, something like this to me, like one of my guys, and seeing this randomly unfold just like that. It's hard. You really don't have the words for something like this, especially when you're kind of thrown this on an hour and a half before you have to do a podcast.
Yeah.
It's hard to kind of formulate.
Real life, pal.
Yeah, real life, pal. J-Bone, we'll go to you. I'm not going to say what are your immediate thoughts because everyone is, devastated. But just,
it's. I don't think you have any words right now. I do. So I was just giving you my exact thoughts right as I read it. I didn't process it fully. Like I didn't I didn't really read it that well at first. I saw it from Triple H and I saw Mike Rotunda just inform me, and I just saw Windham, and I was thinking like Barry Windham at first, and I didn't like nothing. Like I had to reread it a couple times. Like, wait, is he talking about Bray? Like what? That was like my immediate response. Like just in complete shock, and still shocked, obviously, as we kind of go through this. But man, it's just very strange of it all. I don't know. Obviously, we don't know what transpired, what kind of illness it is, nor should we know, honestly. But just thoughts and prayers, go out to his wife JoJo, former ring announcer, obviously. All I know he's got several kids. Obviously, his immediate family, Bo and everybody else, Mike Rotunda, Barry Windham. It's when you see something like this transpire, especially somebody that young, and honestly, I'm a year older than him. It's like, man, it's like really like takes you back to reality, a lot, because we all live like lives just like him, where we just have tunnel vision and we just kind of stick to the path like each and every day. And I definitely do that, okay. I know, like, for instance, say I gotta go up, I gotta do this at work, and then I've got to record the podcast today. But it kind of takes you back, like, man, how precious life is, when things like this happen. Exactly. Just as shocked as Brody. That was another thing I was going to bring up. The good old Mike Bellcaster says, just as complete shock, and for it to happen to another Wyatt family member, it's kind of eerie and strange. But it almost at the same time, I'm kind of thinking about it. It gives it that faction, whether of course kayfabe though, but it still gives it that more of an air of mystique a little bit, So obviously this is a horrible situation, and I don't want to obviously make jest of it or anything like that, but it kind of just gives it that mystique a little bit. It's very sad. Obviously, that's not how we want it. Talking in wrestling terms, obviously, but this is right up there for me with Owen, Brody, Brian Pillman. I'll even say Chris Benoit. Even though it was different circumstances, obviously.
Jay Briscoe, like so many.
Jay Briscoe,
in the last few years alone, like so many unexpected passings, and this unfortunately is added to the list. Just unbelievable.
This is right up there as far as all timers, though. Honestly, this is a young former WWE champion,
right?
Just gone
in the prime of his career. I know people have all their different numbers of like what the prime of your career is. I would say anywhere between 33 to 37 years old. He was right in the middle of that at 36. It's ridiculous how just something like this could happen. Margo, tell us what you're thinking.
I'm with you guys in the sense where it's more of a shock than anything that it happened. He said he went away for a bit after that after the Rumble, I think it was. And then like you said, it was an undisclosed injury. And then obviously the return was imminent, but obviously that's not happening. We got the news obviously that he's not with us anymore, and it's you gotta. I put it up there with with Warrior passing as well, like that. Him coming back. We kind of talked about it on the Chick Foley show last night, just the abruptness of it. Where he comes back, makes amends with everybody, and then over the weekend, and then Monday night he passes away. So I put that up there with this as far as the sadness goes, and just seeing the reception from everybody. Obviously, there's going to be more outpouring and stuff like that, but seems like he was just like a well loved guy. I haven't seen one negative thing about it. Just just always the greatest guy. Behind the scenes, as well as fans that have met him. He's been great to them as well. And if you see like the little pieces of interviews or things that he's done, not as Bray Wyatt and out of the WWE. You could definitely tell he's kind of like a soft-spoken guy, pretty quiet, and probably stayed to himself. It seemed like. So something like this. I mean, I don't it's not to harp on J Bone and bring it to that, but it seems like it's within character. It's not character, not in the sense of Bray Wyatt, but his character as a person. Keep it quiet. Don't let anyone know what's going on. And I echo the sentiment. Yeah. And I don't think we should know. I'm one of those people that we don't deserve the right. I know that's a huge topic of debate with celebrity and their fans. I'll say recently with Jamie Foxx and the stuff that happened with him, and no one knew what was going on, only his family. And I believe that's how it should always be. I don't think we as fans or people watching have the right to know. I think if if the family wants to give that information, they will and make it public. But if it's not public, then we shouldn't know. So, and I hope. I mean, I don't want to know essentially what happened to him.
Right.
I want to remember him, the way he was, and like I said, on camera, and the personas he portrayed, and recently with he's been kind of the focal point of the WWE 2K games, the past couple of them anyway. Although the ones that mattered, the last one that what was it, 2K 19? No, this one, yes, he had his own downloadable pack, and then there was the one when the Fiend first came out where they geared the whole there was a whole thing about him on the game, like he had his own section of the game and stuff like that. So it was huge. I mean, if you're looking around, pretty much every media outlet is talking about it as well. ESPN, literally everybody is there's going to be a big thing. And I expect more, like I said, more coverage coming out of everywhere. I wouldn't be opposed to AEW doing something on Sunday.
Yeah.
For him. So
I guarantee you, Tony, he's a fan, and with the Rotunda family being such a big legacy, having a big legacy going all the way back from Blackjack Mulligan till obviously to Bray.
Right.
You have opposite ends of that family the generational wrestling talent is gone.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. So,
and something like this transcends, company barriers too. I mean, when Brody died, obviously the WWE did a kind of memorial for him, like putting up his picture, and they posted a lot on their social medias and everything like that. So, I would expect that obviously, all wrestling companies are probably going to memorialize him, as they should. I mean, he's been such an instrumental part of wrestling culture in the last decade. Yeah. Obviously with ups and downs as a character and the way that he's been positioned, but it goes without saying that he was easily one of the most creative minds that we've seen in what was definitely ever, but especially during what was kind of a dark period for wrestling. You're talking about the PG era, where a lot of the shit that we saw was like, it turned a lot of people away from wrestling. And then in comes this group called the Wyatt family, who were unlike anything anyone had ever really seen before. The presentation, the way that they were able to showcase these guys in a way that made them seem nothing like that was even going on at the time. And then you cap it all off with the way that Bray spoke and the way that he even just went in the ring. Like, everything about him was different. And I think that word different really just encapsulates the entirety of Bray's career. You could tell he was never comfortable just with what he was doing.
Yeah.
When it was the Wyatt family, he kept trying to evolve it, bringing in a Braun Strowman, or, letting Luke Harper and Eric Rowan do their own thing, to then, starting the stuff with Matt Hardy and going into obviously the Fun House with the Fiend, and then coming back and trying to tie all these pieces together. Did it always work? Of course not. But when it worked, it really, really worked. So as a character and as a just creative mind, he's got to be one of the best as far as bringing something different to wrestling. And not everyone is able to do that.
It almost like he was like too creative for wrestling.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want that to seem like a negative or anything. I think, I mean, if anything, it's positive.
It's a
But it's
huge
just,
positive.
you know, it's just like he was just so. It's almost like like he wanted to evolve his character, like you just said, but like it just he had so many thoughts, so much creativity that it's like almost didn't know where to really go and needed somebody to hone it in, you know. And I think we were starting to get there. I know, you know, like you said, Uncle Howdy wasn't quite transcending, but I think we were going to get there at some point. And you know, it's just, yeah. I think, and I know this is right now is just shocking and setting in, right? You know, but I really think this is going to be an all timer if you sit there and think, because a lot of the guys that died really young, they were in the prime of their career. You know, like I mentioned, like Pillman, Owen Hart, whoever else, you know, Brody, you know, sorry, I lost words.
Briscoe.
Yes, Briscoe. Yes, they never were WWE champion, and you know he's on the list. Like right here, I got it right here. I pulled it out. Boom, right there. Former WWE champion. You know, there's only. Just stop and think about this. Off the top of my head, there's probably about 60 guys that have become WWE champion. And, you know, recently we had the Rash, but, you know, the guys that were, on the front end of the lineage recently passed away. Billy Graham, Iron Sheik. And, you know, it's like we were creeping, up the lineage a little bit, and now to see like a guy like this who won it in 2017, not that long ago, obviously, it's just like, whoa.
Yep.
It really is. It's awful news. It really is. It's I'll say this. This might be, last year we were talking about the Vince McMahon stuff. This is way more shocking than the Vince McMahon. Just way more, probably the biggest. I would even say a bigger story than the Vince McMahon stuff. Just because, yeah, Vince retired, whatever, but he was having these little packs, we'll call them. Is that really shocking? No. The shocking that he retired. Okay, maybe, but I mean, this is like, this is one of the biggest wrestling stories of all time right here. So,
yeah, definitely.
We have Chad with us. He was a transcendent generational storyteller. He always seemed like a caged bird who never truly was free creatively due to the way traditional booking and stories are handled. Yep.
So I was gonna kind of like jump on that too. Like we talked about like when he got released, that was huge news. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
When they're like Bray Wyatt has like been released, we were like that was even like that shocked everybody. We were like, what the hell? Right. Get rid of this dude. Right. But at the same time, just like off of those words there, I don't think any place he went to would have been. His creativity wouldn't have flourished anywhere besides like he would have to taken it like to an outside medium. I don't think wrestling, as far as he was concerned, was going to be able to tell his story. He'd have to bring it, to like a bigger media platform, something maybe like it, I don't, lack of better terms, like Hollywood or something like that. He would have to go 100%. That way to tell his story, because I don't think you can only do so much within wrestling. Like WWE is like the pinnacle of what you can do production wise. I don't think I don't think him going to Impact or AEW or anywhere would have been able to. He would have been able to express the way he needed to be expressed. Look at what he's done with the Fiend character, and and the Firefly Funhouse. He reached out to pretty much Hollywood, to Hollywood directors and producers to produce those spots, to create the Fiend character. So he had to actually tap into that realm to actually do it. What wrestling itself wasn't going to be able to tell that story. And as you see, once wrestling got a hold of it, it kind of it watered it down. So it was better to stay in those that pocket where wrestling wasn't.
Marco, you're having some problems here.
We're getting some holler net.
Just hang tight, Marco.
We're getting some holler net from Marco here.
We're gonna I'm just gonna remove him out of here.
Yeah, do a little boot skis.
Got up, pal.
Oh, there we go.
Nope. Yeah. All right.
Hopefully he's not in the middle of a point.
Yeah. Oh, he definitely is. I can see
it.
I can see him down in the waiting room. He's still going slow.
He's still going strong. But to Marco's point, I think he really put it well in just the fact that the creativity was far surpassed what confinements are present in wrestling. Like, and Chad said it also in the comments, when you have that level of character and storytelling, you're able to take that, what you've created, and bring it anywhere. As we have Marco coming back, hopefully his internet is doing a little better. Are you okay, Marco?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on over here. It's insane.
Well, you're back with us, and I was just talking to your point about the creativity kind of transcending, not having the confinements of wrestling itself, not being able to hold that type of character. And you even said movie productions, and there were different talks after Bray was released that maybe he would kind of transition into movies in some capacity.
Yeah.
And for a person like him, it makes complete sense. The Fiend was a character, and we can start kind of transitioning to talk about some of his characters a bit. The Fiend stands out as a complete 360 on what Bray was doing. I've talked, a lot just today about, how different the Wyatt family with Rowan and Harper and Strowman was, and what type of wrinkle it brought into wrestling at that time. The same goes for the Fiend in 2019. I mean, if you go back and you watch that time period of wrestling, it's rough to sit through. That's when you had the 24/7 title, and you had Goldberg and the Undertaker, and it was rough. And then here comes, after WrestleMania, these vignettes with the Firefly Funhouse, and immediately people are thinking, this can't be good. I saw it on Twitter. This can't be good.
Hey, real quick. So
yeah,
this is kind of some breaking news. I know we had just talked about, not really knowing, not even needing to know, but I do think it's important based off of some comments that Sean Ross Sapp just mentioned. He did say that he was given permission to reveal the of what happened, but this was, and because his loved ones wanted some details clarified. But earlier this year, around March, probably more than likely, he got COVID and exacerbated heart issues, and unfortunately, he suffered a heart attack and passed away today.
Ugh.
And again, I wouldn't necessarily. I'm not trying to. I'm not looking for views. I mean, if I would have seen that, and I actually shout out to Thomas Scott. I just wanted to pull it up and just see exactly what it is. But I think it's important because the family does want people to know what happened.
Yeah.
So
yeah, kind of like I said before, we don't have to know, but if the family feels like they want to give that away, then they can do that. That's
right.
as fans, we shouldn't be mad.
Shouldn't be
the
clamoring.
Family, we shouldn't be like saying bringing up the Brody Lee and how he his sudden passing. And there was that whole thing about how people were upset that we never knew what happened to him.
We shouldn't know. We shouldn't know what happened.
We shouldn't know. If like I said, if the family, wants to give that information out, they should be able to. Like, I know absolutely. We feel like we're attached, to these people. Like, I mean, and rightfully so. We see them, we've seen them every week. We followed their careers and stuff like that. So you do have that attachment. But as far as like on a personal note, for friends and family, that we are not. We are mainly, we're fans. We're just fans. We appreciate the art and the things that they do, in and out of the ring, and that should be. We should just, like I said, I'd rather remember him as who he was on screen, and the stuff that he did, the creativity that he brought. Probably one of the as far as like creativity goes, like I don't think I've never really given anyone like kudos for that early 2013, 2014 shift in WWE as far as something new, something refreshing, and that's I mean, I think you could probably just give it to. Except
100%.
We're obviously with the Shield coming in and stuff like that. That was that was a change right there. But once the Wyatt family came in and the vignettes, which you rarely seen back, for recent memory anyway. Them bringing vignettes back to introduce a character, and
they put a lot of stock into those characters. I mean, they were only down in NXT for a little bit. They won I believe Harper and Rowan won the tag titles down there. Bray never won the NXT title. They were down there for like a few months, and I remember watching that promo where Bray talked about that they were going to be leaving NXT and they were going to be called up to the main roster. One of the earlier NXT call-ups too. I mean, if you really think about it, with the way that the NXT development was kind of brought up, obviously NXT for a while was the game shows and all of that, but once it kind of transitioned into what it is now, I mean, you had the Shield come up, obviously, and then you had your Big E's and maybe a few others, but this was really like I think a true call up in the sense that you really didn't know a lot about these guys, even though they were down in NXT. They were really, I think them being only down there for a little bit helped them way more, because it's not like, you had, that's Tyler Black and that's John Moxley coming up to the main roster. It's like, these were unknown guys. Sure, Husky Harris, they got the chance, but these were pretty much unknown guys who were repackaged, and they became something completely different. And, that is kind of, you're able to transition into like their earlier stages of their career where, they were firing on all cylinders. Like, even though they weren't positioned always in the main event, they were in that upper mid card having matches, like Thomas says in the chat. The Shield versus the Wyatt family at Elimination Chamber 2014 was a fantastic match. And I think that was one of the best. I think that was one of the best times that they were able to like showcase the Wyatt family to their fullest potential.
That match was so good. There was murmurs going around that WWE was going to bring in a 6-man title. Do y'all remember that?
I think so.
Yeah, I think because of the Shield and
they were trying to build these trios teams.
Yeah, the Evolution came back to around that. So like I said, as far as the just to go back on what Anthony said about them being in NXT and not knowing who they were, and I think that kind of helped out that whole thing, because you didn't know like what was real, what wasn't. Were they a family? Were they brothers? You didn't know if like Luke Harper and Eric Rowan were actually brothers of him. Like you didn't know if they were actually related or cousins or what the hell was going on. Like he's like
I knew because I'm a smart mark.
Yeah, no. But at the time it's like you have this weird weird group of people. They're it kind of brought you back to like the the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like Leatherface's family. You got those kind of vibes from the Wyatt family, like deep in the woods and the bayou, and
I know some of those guys.
The creepy, I know. Just that, like you said, like it was just like like I said, just and then the things that they would post on like Raw and SmackDown and stuff like that, just like the promos he would cut, the softness in his voice, not him like yelling or anything like that, him getting his message across without being you're not forcing it on you, just like just him speaking the truth, his truth.
Yep.
That's how he really captivated. I remember in an interview he did, he said, obviously there's tons of inspirations that went into the Wyatt family. You can go back to Robert De Niro's character in Cape Fear is one of the inspirations, if you ever seen that movie. Mercy as well, but he said one of his things was those televangelists on TV, like the reverends you see on TV, like the televangelists. They come out, they speak their gospel to like thousands of people, and they're speaking their truths, and that's where he got his delivery from. So if you ever watch him do his promos, and then you go and pull up on YouTube and watch like a televangelist, you can see kind of like the same delivery.
Yeah, sure.
And that's where he drew that inspiration, was because he was a preacher. That's what kind of like Bray Wyatt was. He's preaching to you. He's preaching there's ugliness in the world, and he was going to be that that light you should follow through the darkness that surrounds the world and stuff like that. So just amazing. I'm actually getting like a little bit of chills right now just thinking of like the promos.
Who ever did something like that in
nobody?
Exactly. Like the level of creativity just early on in his career, like
yes,
he came into his own with that character. Usually you start off, well, obviously Husky Harris with the Nexus, but that was really for like how long? Like
6
barely
months.
Barely 6 months. He comes in with this character and immediately flips the switch on everybody, and he becomes one of the most popular guys, and that kind of takes you into his first WrestleMania with John Cena. And this is kind of
me and Marco were in attendance for those.
Yeah, WrestleMania 30.
We didn't even know each other.
That is kind of where it starts to take a turn. Most people say for the worse. That first loss to Cena at WrestleMania.
I would completely agree with that, and that's why like the Funhouse match was like the kind of that was like that had kind of reverb from that. If you think about that match, it was kind of like Bray's way to get exact revenge on John Cena on a backstage level, even like we kind of heard that some of the stuff like, man, you screwed me kind of thing.
Yeah,
like it had undertones of that. In the match, you politicked your way. Not trying to say, oh, there was heat there, brother. But but that's what he was trying to bring out a little bit.
Well, and even in that regard of Bray losing a lot of big matches during this time period. After kind of the Wyatt family expanded a little bit, they formed back together. Obviously he loses some big feuds to Cena, Reigns, Taker. Even in that light where it's like, oh, these are all wins that Bray should be getting. I mean, look at the way that the WWE has positioned their heels for their entirety of their existence as the WWE. That there's always going to be those heels in the upper mid card who are really meant to put over the top stars. And although they're not going to win all the time, they're always going to be credible threats to their top guys. And you just look at the names that Bray went up against in that time period. Like I mentioned, Cena and Reigns and Jericho and Orton and Taker and Kane, and the list goes on. Punk, Daniel Bryan. Although he didn't get those huge wins that really could have put him over the top if they went with it, he had such an integral role in the company where he was still able to, rub shoulders with the top guys, that even though he wasn't taking those big wins, in turn, being with these legends in wrestling, it elevated his status. It got him that exposure. I just wish that with all of this, being said, that they were still able to make it a little bit more fresh. I feel like during this time period, it was a little bit of the same, but I feel like that's what happens when you get into a position as a upper mid card where you're kind of just expected to be a reliable hand. And for someone like Bray Wyatt, that shouldn't be the case. He should be the top of the card. And that's what you kind of got when we saw the Firefly Funhouse and the Fiend. And we'll get into that in a moment. But that period for Bray was, I think it allowed him to kind of enhance his name value. He was able to be in these big time roles where, like I said, he's not getting the wins, but he's still getting that notoriety. So we'll kind of continue down his career as we're going on here. As thank you for everyone who's in the chat with us tonight. We've had over 20 viewers at points tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in, and keep dropping your favorite Bray memories in the chat. But you get to a point where obviously, like I said, starts getting a little stale, and that's when 2017, 2018 happens. And a time period that not a lot of people talk about is the Matt Hardy era. Being a Raw tag team champion with Broken Matt Hardy. It was a feud that when Matt Hardy came in back to WWE in 2017 as a part of the Hardys, everyone was clamoring for, because similar to Bray, Matt Hardy was something in wrestling that no one had ever seen before, and it was wacky, and everyone loved it. So a match with Bray and Matt Hardy was a match made in heaven, it seemed like. And then we start getting these. I guess you can call them a ripoff of what Impact was doing with the Final Deletion, and they did their own cinematic matches. And obviously, it was nothing near what they were doing in TNA, but you started to see that level of creativity come out a little bit with these two minds coming together. And of course, they team together, they become Raw Tag Team Champions. A short run, but I think this is a run that, it was fun. It was fun for what it was. It gave Bray something different to do. Yep.
Yeah, no, I love the Deleters of Worlds. That was the
Deleters of Worlds. That's what
the name of the tag team. And I definitely remember that match between him and Matt Hardy at the Hardy compound, because obviously the dilapidated boat made its return. The dilapidated boat.
That's when I knew what dilapidated was. I never heard that word.
Look at you enhancing your vocabulary.
You get to see. You get to. I like that. I like that. Like you said, it's kind of like not really a forgotten storyline that Bray Wyatt had, but I think it was more of like almost like a kind of like a carryover type storyline. It wasn't too much investment, unless you were like a really hardcore wrestling fan and you knew of the Broken Matt Hardy, or Woken Matt Hardy, as he was called in the WWE. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I remember they were supposed to come out like an Elite 2-pack.
I was about to say that.
Talk. Yeah. But they for some reason they just packaged it with just Matt Hardy and the dilapidated boat. Is supposed to be Bray.
No, they didn't even do the boat. They did it just the drone. What's it called? Vanguard.
No, what did the boat come in with?
I don't think they ever did a boat. Did they?
You sure?
I'm pretty sure.
I think that was in the package.
It was supposed to come with a boat, but I don't think it ever did.
I don't know.
And maybe even a mower of lawns. I don't know.
The mower of lawns. But yeah, yeah, like I said, that, like you said, it was kind of a forgotten thing. I just, I liked how the characters kind of, mesh in the sense where, Broken Matt Hardy was just like, this entity, not so much like a human, because, Matt Hardy was the vessel in which Woken Matt Hardy lived. I'm kind of speaking like the way he speaks. It is the vessel of which I live in. But it was just like, him speaking of, Bray Wyatt and knowing, Sister Abigail and meeting her in the past and all this. I thought it was pretty cool that they kind of, Matt Hardy's character was able to do that because he lived through, space and time. So he's able to meet all these different, people along his existence in the universe. So I thought it was pretty cool. Wasn't the greatest of storylines, but it was more like kind of like a nod, to the fans that love the Broken Matt Hardy stuff and kind of wanted to see Bray Wyatt's character, get involved with that. But yeah, they mean creative too, though.
I'm today's years old. I didn't know that was there was a name of the boat. So.
The dilapidated boat. It was like it was one of the many cast of characters in the Hardy compound. You had the dilapidated boat. You had the lawnmower. You had Senor Benjamin, his wife's father. Essentially, you had the Hardy kids usually played a role in those matches as well. Vanguard won, all that stuff. Love seeing it.
It allowed him just to be a little bit, step out of what he was doing for the last however many years and, do something a little different, which was always good. And then, he goes away for a little bit. And like I said, right after WrestleMania 35, we start getting these vignettes of the Firefly Funhouse. And at first, people didn't love it, but then they started breaking them down, as wrestling fans do. And you start getting these little hints in all of these vignettes leading towards Bray's return as the Fiend. And I mean, we can go on. We've talked how long about the Fiend and the brilliance of it at times, but also the maybe complicated nature of it. And at the same rate, the fact that the WWE dropped the ball on it, like Hell in a Cell. I mean, Goldberg, so many opportunities that they had to put this over the top. They fell flat on their face, which unfortunately seemed to be just the tale of Bray Wyatt's career. Like, they dropped the ball so many times. The Fiend is another example of that, but they were able to go ahead and kind of salvage it in a sense, salvage his earlier defeats, like you mentioned, J-Bone, at WrestleMania with the Firefly Funhouse match, something that, again, never had seen something like that before, and you're never going to see it again. I mean,
yeah, one of the most brilliant things that they've done in a while. If you ever go back in the archives and watch, I think it's Eric Bischoff and Conrad, they actually review that match because obviously it has, NWOs in it. Bray Wyatt portrays Eric Bischoff technically in that thing, but they break it down and, Eric Bischoff gives it. I mean, it was getting the highest of praises when it, the next, the next week, the next month, essentially. But, Eric Bischoff gave it the highest of praise. If you go back and watch it now, you'll probably pick up on some more Easter eggs within that. And that was, if it's one of the things that they got right, like you said, with the dropping the ball and all that stuff, that's who Bray Wyatt, at that point in time, not Bray Wyatt, the Wyatt family Bray Wyatt, but Funhouse Bray Wyatt and the Fiend should have been treated as such. They shouldn't have been matches in ring. The Fiend should have been a character that you've seen in those types of matches, those cinematic matches. Granted, we always have this conversation on Chick Foley about cinematic matches and the live audience and all that stuff. In attendance, they don't really get to see it, but that's what the big screens are for. Throw it up on a big screen. Give give the fans a break from the in-ring action, so now they can focus on something else, and then they can it gives them like a refresh, and then they get back into the live in-ring stuff. So I always thought that's where
Good point.
I always thought that the Fiend should have been always like a once a year character.
Right.
They kind of ran him thin during the pandemic. He was showing up on Monday Night Raw every single week, and fighting like Retribution and all this stuff. And it kind of like they made him like a superhero, kind of like I said in the beginning. Like they Bray Wyatt probably had a vision for the Fiend where you just see him like once in a while, and you show up on these vignettes, but then obviously money gets involved. He becomes the biggest merch seller at the time. Let's not forget that. As far as the Funhouse stuff goes, he was the number one seller on WWE Shop at the time. All that merch. Yeah. So he was like, so obviously that gets involved, and now they want more of the Fiend, and then creative things happen, differences, and that's where things fall apart. But just the Firefly Funhouse stuff in the beginning with the, like I said, with the imagery that they show, like decaying bodies and pentagrams and the goat there, the devil goat, the Masonic goat or whatever that is, like just all those like the imagery that was showing up on there was I thought it was kind of like, whoa, what did anyone miss that? Like if you recorded and went back in like slow mode, it was showing some crazy stuff, man. There's dead bodies were found in some of those things that they were showing. It was pretty crazy, but yeah, I love the Funhouse stuff because it rest in peace, Pee Wee Herman, Paul Rubens, but it gave you that vibe, Pee Wee's Playhouse.
Death to Smoochie, that's what it gave me.
Death to Smoochie. If you ever seen a show, it only lasted 2 seasons, I believe, on MTV. It was called Wonder Shows, and it was definitely go back and watch it. It was like it was a spin. It was literally the Firefly Funhouse. It had puppets and everything, but it was like just the craziest, like having kids say the craziest things, like crazy and like profanity. The imagery was pretty similar to what Bray Wyatt showed, like with like decaying bodies and all this crazy stuff. Yeah, definitely. That's your homework. Definitely go search Wonder Shows from MTV. It was crazy out there, but yeah, I mean the Firefly Funhouse stuff. I can't speak more highly of it than what they already what you already can. It was just masterpiece stuff back when it first arrived.
Yep, and I mean then we obviously go on. Jay, I don't know if you had any other thoughts on Funhouse and Fiend.
Well, I mean, just seeing that initial look, just like completely, just like whoa, like, of the Fiend, whenever he kind of flashed on the.
Oh yeah.
I think that might be it.
Oh, geez.
Just was like wow, man, and just had the. At first, I was like, the very first week, I was annoyed. I was like, because the reason why it was like because everybody who's watches the show. Everybody knows I have no patience, but coming off of the Matt Hardy, Bray Wyatt tag team stuff, I was like, yeah, what are we doing? and then he like immediately flips into this, and I was like, yeah, I want Cajun Couillon. Bray Wyatt back. Not Couillon, by the way, means crazy in Cajun French, by the way. Anyways, I want Cajun Couillon back. Not this. But I think like the second, third week, I was like, all right, I'm hooked.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I see what's happening now.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, it was magical up until that fateful Hell in the Cell match.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoken to death about that Hell in the Cell match, but all those little pieces, obviously, Marco, you mentioned kind of the overexposure of Bray, having him on Raw pretty much every other week, especially during the Thunderdome, which I think a lot of it was really having him on those shows to kind of showcase the capabilities of the Thunderdome. Because if you remember, his entrance was fucking cool in the Thunderdome with the lasers and everything. I think a lot of having him on those shows was just to be like, look at us, pal, we got lasers.
Look at what we can do, god damn it.
You're doing orange mimosas, we got lasers.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but you know, it all kind of came to a head with the Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton feud, which people say what they will about it. I thought that it was pretty fun at times, and there were other times where I was like, you know,
the payoff was not great. The feud was great. The payoff was
well, the payoff was also during a time, you know, where we weren't even sure if we were going to get, you know, the Bray Wyatt match at WrestleMania 37, which would end up being his last match before he would be released. We weren't really sure if we were going to get it, because that was also the time that Brody Lee passed away. So obviously something wasn't clicking still. What I thought was strange was that they continued on, like that next episode of Raw. They did a Fun House episode, and you know, Bray cuts this really eerie promo where he's like, "Oh, the Fun House, we're gonna change things up, and you know, we're gonna be new, and I'm gonna breathe life into everyone, and everything's gonna be great, and it's gonna be a new chapter." And that was the last appearance that you saw of Bray.
Yeah, I remember that,
which I thought was a very bizarre way to end it off. It makes you think, like, where were they going with that? Were they going anywhere with that? Was it just to have him on TV? Everything with Alexa Bliss, and you know, what was going to end up, and you know, his, even with Bray getting released, which by the way, I think it's also notable to say that Bray was pretty much the last guy that WWE, you know, before there were just, you know, Fightful reporting on the releases and WWE, WWE.com would post those releases on their website. And I'm pretty sure Bray was like the last guy that they did that for, which I remember getting out of the shower one day and seeing on Twitter, WWE has come to terms with the release of Windham Rotunda. I was like, holy shit. And that was during the time when they were releasing everybody. And after that, they kind of just stopped naming them on the website, which, you know, another bizarre piece of history, I guess he's a part of.
We'll wait for a month, pal.
So I think another part of Bray not being there for that time period was still the impact that he had on the company. I mean, Alexa Bliss continued that character that was kind of rooted in Bray Wyatt. The whole existence of that character was because of Bray Wyatt. She continued that for a great period of time. And once Bray comes back in 2022, immediately, you know, Alexa is brought back into this whole Bray Wyatt universe, which we were talking negatively about at the time. But I think that goes to show you the impact that he had on a lot of kind of areas in WWE. I mean, there was the whole thing of the Fiend. When you fight the Fiend, it changes you. And they even address that. And sometimes during, you know, the Braun Strowman feud, when he turns heel and he shaves his head, and, you know, Seth Rollins, after he fights the Fiend, he turns heel. You know, Daniel Bryan shaving his head, and, you know, a lot of different ways that the Fiend changed. I mean, John Cena fucking disappeared in the ring at WrestleMania because he fought
John Cena. John Cena started up the NWO again.
Right.
He didn't know where he was at. I'm drunk. I'm in NWO. I'm in WCW.
Yeah, shows you like his kind of impact on a lot of different areas of the WWE in that regard. But fast forward, Triple H gets in charge of the WWE. A lot of people start coming back. A lot of rumors start fueling. People are praying and hoping that Bray Wyatt is on. I mean, in the first Ariel Helwani interview that they did with Triple H, he even mentions, "Are you bringing back Bray Wyatt?" And, you know, that's where Triple H says that, you know, he's, you know, the type of, he has that creative mind that you kind of have to, I think you mentioned, Jimbo, that you have to kind of like harness his creativity and kind of guide him in the right way. And you start seeing these QR codes, and you you know, the pictures of the rabbits that they put on the I still think this is the coolest part of his him and bringing him back was, you know, having the white rabbit picture put on the car windshields of all the people who were in attendance at that episode of SmackDown. Cool. That was so fucking cool. Like,
it felt like next level shit. Like,
it did.
And just random stuff throughout the episodes too. Don't forget, like the random, like, you know, puppet sightings, or you'd see like you'd see people in the audience holding up signs with like, you know, like says like a white rabbit or someone with a rabbit head, or like just like stuff like that. Like, that.
And when they were in the commercial breaks, and you know, they started playing the Jefferson what was it, the Jefferson Airplane song? You know,
White Rabbit.
They start playing that song, and you know, you have the red lighting, like all of that shit was. They were doing stuff that wasn't done before. They really threw all their eggs in one basket for Bray's return, and it all. Yeah, go ahead, J-Bone. So
no. I just was going to say too, and I mean, if you think about during that time, with all the returns, and we were very critical, obviously, of the returns,
right? Yeah. We were.
So much so that Tyson's left us. Love you, Tyson.
Tyson's back.
I'm just trying to make light of it. But no, we were critical of the returns. I mean, you think of like Johnny Gargano, he came back from commercial break, and it's like, oh, okay. But this is how special this guy was. They said, okay, we're gonna bring him back at the end of a pay-per-view, like or PLE, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and they spent months doing it. Like,
and it was like main events off. Oh, now it's showtime. Let's bring back Bray Wyatt. You know, so that's how important this guy was to not only WWE, their creativity, but everything that they wanted to do for him. So
and of course everything with Bray coming back, and you know, it almost makes you feel guilty, like of how critical we were. But I mean, really, it was another type of example of just a difference in creative thinking. You know, I know that we've been talking about how Bray was such a creative mind, and that was really true in this regard with this whole character. And we were talking about the slow burn and how we were happy to see kind of a character that wasn't rushed right away, and something unlike what we had seen before in WWE with these kind of quick changes in characters. And, you know, even with something like the Bloodline where, you know, a lot of this is slow, but we're getting towards that point where a lot of it is fast paced. And for someone like Bray, it really took that slow turn, maybe too slow at times, but, you know, he really took his time, like planting those seeds in every single line that he delivered. His first promo back, you know, talking about it's just going to be him this time. He's going to be real. And then having Uncle Howdy come on the screen, and, you know, everything with, you know, is he with Uncle Howdy? Is he against him? Is he, you know, is it Bo Dallas? Is it not? All this, you know, crazy stuff that bled into the LA Knight feud. I mean, you know, that feud also, you know, you're talking about, I mentioned before how Bray was able to kind of rub shoulders with these big names like Taker and Cena. He was also able to pretty much put LA Knight on the map. If you really think about it, like that feud did so much for LA Knight, having him in this position with one of the top guys on SmackDown at that point, with him coming back. I mean, that did a lot for him, positioning him in a way that the fans could see LA Knight after that Max Dupree disaster. I thought Max Dupree was good, but
I did too.
I liked it. But, you know, having him in a feud with Bray really shone a spotlight on him that I don't think you would have gotten if, you know, you just put him with just a regular mid-carder. You know, you put him with someone like Bray, it's like...
Or even put him in the Royal Rumble match where he's going to be number 5 and get eliminated, by Brock Lesnar or something.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, I think that was a really smart way to make both guys. Like, you have someone who's coming back after 2 years or a year, who hasn't really done much, hasn't really said much, and now is trying to rebuild what he left behind. You have another guy who is coming out of a really shitty storyline and is trying to rekindle that flame that he had in previous companies and previous characters. So
Yeah.
the clashing of those two, although it led to the Mountain Dew lights out match, I think it still benefited both guys in numerous ways.
Yeah.
That's something I'm just thinking of that's kind of just gutting me a little bit right now. But just thinking about the LA Knight situation, but Raw 30 when Undertaker kind of gives him that little whispering words.
Yeah.
And Taker's said he would never reveal what he said, and or did he reveal it? I don't know. I feel like he said he wouldn't, but it was like almost like it was kind of like a passing of the torch kind of moment there. Felt like, and I don't know. And just now thinking about it, just gutting because it's like we never got that opportunity, to really see what was going to happen. So
Yeah.
there it is. Man, golly, Anthony, you're a pro's pro.
I'm
what
on
a
it.
great guy.
Yeah, the just to bring it back to the LA Knight Bray Wyatt thing, I think that was at the time where for both, and I think we probably said this on the show, and if not, I'll probably say it now, that they both needed a storyline.
Yep.
They both needed direction at the time because it was like, we were always like, where's this Bray Wyatt story going? And then on the other side, be like, oh, we have LA Knight here. What the hell is he doing? Why isn't he in a storyline right now? And then, like you said, it was kind of like a marriage of the two, just bringing them together. And, now we're finally getting to see what the, Bray Wyatt's character, what he could do when he's in a storyline. And then at the same time, the opposite side, we get to see LA Knight in a storyline against somebody. Cool thing is we get a figure of the Bray Wyatt Mountain Dew match. It's an Ultimate Edition, isn't it?
It's an Ultimate. I was really down on it.
I think that figure looks pretty cool. I know a lot of people were shitting on it, but
now
I'm gonna have to get it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, obviously, this isn't a figure show, but you gotta bring up like the obviously when the Fiend first when the Fiend first came out and stuff like that. That was like the main. I remember that year was like the topic of discussion. Like, when is the Fiend Elite figure gonna come out? And that was gonna be like the number one like sought after figure, in which it was at the time.
Actually, I will say this right now. That's actually what got me to join the Chick Foley show, because someone, we're not going to mention who, posted a giveaway in the Major Pod group, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool. I'll join this group too," because I was all about groups, and I was like, man, maybe I'll get a chance at winning it.
Yeah.
But man, that's just hitting me all of a sudden. That's pretty crazy.
So just that figure coming out, and then like I said, the merch going crazy. Then the Ultimate Edition figure that came out of the Fiend, and that was even like way more than mind blowing. And then obviously after that we got the Firefly Funhouse Bray figure, ringside exclusive, and it came with the puppets.
I have that figure.
The only puppet it didn't. Yeah, the only one it didn't come with was Huskus the pig, but when you got later on, we got Mr. McMahon, the Devil, Mr. McMahon. But then we, obviously later on they came up with another Funhouse Bray Wyatt, a more accurate looking one, and then that one came with Huskus, and then you can't forget the Burnt Fiend figure that came out, which is really awesome as well.
That's kind of a rare boy now, I think, huh?
The Burnt Fiend.
I feel like I don't see that as much anymore.
Yeah, no, not really. And that was another storyline that we didn't really skip over it. We kind of did. Randy Orton, and him lighting the Fiend on fire and trying to kill the Fiend.
It was one of my early episodes. I remember I titled it, "I prefer my Fiend crispy fried," or something like that. And then like episode 3 or 4 of Chilling Down the Aisle.
Yeah, they had us I remember that storyline because they had us on the edge of our seats, like, what's it going to look like when the Fiend returns? Because we knew the Fiend was going to come back. Is it going to be is it going to be brand new? We were not expecting just a burned, melted Fiend character to come back, which is pretty crazy to think about it now. But man, and
I
that's
wish
what I'm
he got
talking.
to wrestle in that thing. Like it was it'd probably be impossible, but like seeing him, I wish we got one match in that in that Burt Fiend look.
And just thinking, just going back to what I said before, as with the Fiend character, it should have been just one of those. Like the Fiend was perfect for the the pandemic era of wrestling because it was more televised, it was more production involved, so you could do so much stuff with that with that character. And like obviously they like I said they money gets in the way and they kind of like bled the crap out of the Fiend. Yeah. But like that was a perfect example of like, man, we could have done like bring it back to like the Firefly Funhouse and have a Firefly Funhouse match where they're actually at the Firefly Funhouse, him and Randy Orton, and maybe he's battling, he thinks he killed the Fiend and the Fiend comes back like normal and he's fighting him at one point and then later on he's facing like the decaying or the burnt Fiend, and we probably would have got to see the burnt Fiend in action. There was so many things that they could do. The Wyatt family matches they used to have at the Sister Abigail's house, the match that they had with the New Day. Let's not forget that.
That was a fun one. That was a good one. People overlooked that.
They had the feud with them. So yeah, man. I mean, just to go back what J-Bone said, the 6-man tag titles that they were going to make one. Like you had New Day, you had the Shield, you had the Wyatt family, you had Evolution making a return. That's four 3-man teams right there that they could have been.
3MB?
Yeah, 3MB at the time as well. You could have brought them back. But yeah, no, it's yeah. Just
when did he have a nose guard or a face mask, whatever?
Down in NXT.
That was an NXT. Yeah, that was.
I forget what exactly. Yeah, I forget what happened, but yeah, he was wearing that for a while. He looked pretty cool.
Yeah, you know what I liked about like the Wyatt family too? Like it looked like they didn't belong in NXT or even in WWE. Yeah. Just so like they did not look like the typical WWE superstar, as Vince McMahon would say. It was just like, where the hell did these dudes just show up and just start like kind of running roughshod on the NXT brand? Like, where the hell did these dudes come from? Like, what the fuck is going on? That's what they're kind of like their gimmick looked like to me anyway.
Yeah.
At the time, like Jesus Christ, they're wearing like freaking like mechanic suits. Mechanic jumpsuits.
They just got off from the mechanic store.
Yeah, it's like what the fuck? Yeah. Mechanics RS store. That's what they got.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
But yeah, like just the way they looked was just like they didn't belong, and I think that's what it was like. They were like the outcasts.
Yeah,
and they were just trying
that's what sold the look. That sold the whole gimmick.
Yeah, and they were just trying to
crazy
bring you on. Make you a part of the family. Like I said, they were going to be that light to guide you through the darkness of the world and all the evil around it. And that's what his message was. Essentially, let him be the light that guides you. That's why we didn't talk about this. The fans with the Fireflies with their phones and that started at
WrestleMania.
Man, just that image, man.
It was nuts.
Just think about it. Like, just go back and watch it. Even when he made his return, the amount of lights of the Fireflies floating around and stuff like that. Just,
I think I might still have the video of his entrance. I want to see. I might be able to post it. I'm gonna try to see if I can post it later on.
Yeah, it's man. Tonight I might have to go through the Peacock archives and watch some Bray Wyatt matches or just watch some vignettes and stuff like that. And
yeah, I actually just watched the Firefly Funhouse the other day, or the Funhouse match with Cena.
So good.
I mean, I was looking back on it, and I was just like, in hindsight, this is such a like bizarre, like such an out there match that even some of the stuff in there was like, obviously a lot of it made sense, but there were some things that I was just like, I look back on it, and I'm like, what was he trying to like convey? Like, even though we think we know what exactly, with the the Saturday night's main event and the NWO being all involved in this. Even though we think we know what he's trying to say, he could be trying to tell a completely different story, a completely different angle.
Yeah.
And we'll never know which is the
I love the Firefly match. I know there's like some critics of it, but I loved it.
Yeah,
I did too.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Especially during that, of course, that era. I mean, that WrestleMania obviously
so weird if you go back and watch that.
One of the worst.
So strange.
But that match and the Boner Yard match,
the J Bone Yard match.
Yeah, those two matches kind of made that main art help have that mania.
Yeah, if you go back and you pick you go back to the pandemic, those are the two matches right there that were kind of like the almost like the pinnacle of what you would do in that scenario when the world pretty much shuts down. What do? You have to put on a show. You have two creative minds, in the Undertaker and AJ Styles, and then with Bray Wyatt and John Cena. It's you had the input too. That was the other thing too. Like John Cena had the input in that match as well, because John Cena. If you ever watch, John Cena's a wacky dude, man. He doesn't take himself seriously.
He's doing that weird stuff on TikTok where he's like,
he just stares.
Where he sees like a camera like looking at him. He's just like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, like so he's a weird dude, but like you can tell like
shit.
Yeah, you could that's why the Firefly Funhouse worked, I think, because John Cena doesn't take himself seriously.
The Stone Cold Steve Austin thing he was doing for years.
Oh my God, the Stone Cold Steve, and then oh man, just like you said, the Saturday night's main event, where he's pumping iron, he's just like going crazy, and it's like you get kind of like the gist of that. It's like Vince McMahon was always into you had to be the super jack guy. You couldn't look like Bray Wyatt over here with the beard and the gut to be like a big main event star. But yeah, man, that's why it worked. That's why that match worked, because Bray Wyatt with his creative mind and John Cena with his not really taking himself too seriously. And I think that's why it worked out perfectly, man. That you said, if you want to go back and watch something of Bray Wyatt, at the pinnacle of his genius, definitely go back to that match. That'll sum up everything.
Jordan loves this match. WrestleMania 31 versus Undertaker.
Oh yeah,
that's his favorite match, right?
I didn't. Someone check on Jordan, man. That's the other thing. I didn't even think of that. I didn't even seen him respond to anything.
I saw he posted something.
Oh, he did. Oh,
yeah.
He's crushed.
This is a rough comment right here. Haven't cried this hard since Scott Hall passed away. I'm gonna miss Bray. I mean, the effect that he's had on so many fans. Chad was mentioning in the chat before that he was brought back into wrestling through the Wyatt family. A friend recommended these creepy outback guys,
rednecks,
whatever. And that's kind of what brought him back in. The effect that this type of character that transcends wrestling generations. I mean, someone put in a comment before that this character could have happened in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, 2020s, you name it. He is a mind. He was just a person who there's never going to be another Bray Wyatt. Like, that is point done. You're never going to see another one of him. So the fact that we lose him at 36 years old, my brain still hasn't even processed this. We've been talking about Bray Wyatt for an hour and 15 minutes now. I still feel like I am at 6:30 coming home from school, coming home from working at my school today. Get in the door and I see Marco's text saying, drop everything that we have planned. We have to do a video. We have to do a show about Bray, thinking and kind of hoping that it was just Bray has left. Bray just got released, because when I see something like that, I'm like, please God, don't tell me that this just happened. I was kind of hoping that it was just Bray Wyatt has been released for whatever reason. And then, similar to you, J-Bone, I didn't read that tweet correctly at first. I thought it was, IRS at first. And I was trying to process it. And then I saw Windham Rotunda, I was like, oh my fucking God. Like I was just pacing around my house. I was like, I don't even know I don't know what to do with myself. Like, it's different when he's like one of your guys. Like, I really grew up with Bray Wyatt, as strange as that is to say. Like, that's one of the guys that kind of kept me around, and it's never gonna process. Like tomorrow, obviously, we're probably gonna see a Bray Wyatt memorial show on SmackDown, which it should be.
Got to, yeah.
Oh yeah,
I would say, just have people talk about Bray, but I know criticisms have always been there with Owen and everybody else. And they, where wrestlers wrestle. Just show Bray Wyatt matches.
Yeah.
Just show Bray Wyatt matches, and then you can have people come out and talk about Bray. Which I guess you have a live crowd. That's the only thing. But just refund the tickets. Say, hey guys, we'll be back next week, or whatever. Sorry. Just show Bray Wyatt matches.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what's gonna happen. But
yeah, as long as it's like some sort of tribute show. I mean, you saw how good of a tribute show AEW put on for Brody Lee. Being able to celebrate his life the way that they did. You haven't. That's why this is also so so big, is because you haven't seen something like this in WWE in decades. Seeing an active wrestler at the top of the card pass away. Like the last time you saw this was like your Owen Harts and your Brian Pillmans,
Brody Lee. Don't forget. Brody
well,
Lee
I'm saying in the WWE.
Oh, WWE.
Like, this is the biggest company in the world. It's always just, entertainment, all this stuff. You haven't seen something like this since, Benoit, but, you're...
That doesn't count.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
Eddie. Eddie, yes, that's true.
Eddie, right.
Yeah. That's true. That's actually a former WWE champion. I didn't even think about Eddie.
I think this whole episode we've just forgotten Eddie. Like,
sorry, Eduardo.
Yeah, rest in peace, Eddie.
Eddie.
Kind of. I think we've talked extensively about Bray. We kind of got everything out there. But something that I was kind of thinking about as the show was going along is, and I don't know if this is like even a thought right now, but nor does it really matter in the grand scheme of things, but to honor Bray, I mean, do you see them putting him in the Hall of Fame for Mania 40? I mean, he has the career for it. He has the reputation, the championships, the accolades, the impact on the company. I see him as a bona fide Hall of Fame career in the WWE. Just everything that he did for the company and everything that he was able to do to change the perception of wrestling. I mean, if not next year, it's got to be soon. That
I would say it depends on the family. I mean,
that's
the family.
Yeah,
I'm kind of just talking in like
right.
If all parties are cool with it,
Right. Yeah, I would say yeah. I mean, that's what they did with Eddie. Right. Eddie passed away in November, and he was in the Hall of Fame that next year or whatever.
Right.
Oh man, we didn't even think of was he actually wrestling yet, or still wrestling? Shad Gaspard from Crime Time.
Brooklyn.
He wasn't in WWE when that happened, but
okay. But that was pretty. That one right there. That one
hit me hard too.
That one hit a lot of people hard as well because obviously
the situation.
Reason why they had the heroism that went into that,
right?
That made it even
that. And then whenever they did the tribute to him, the Warrior Award.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Yeah. See,
I was balling for that one.
That and the one just to hop on what young Anthony said about Bray Wyatt being that guy that he grew up on. For me, I think, and even like I said, we kind of mentioned this on the Chick Foley show, Warrior. I mean, being a kid, dude, and
The
the
Warrior
neon,
one's insane.
the paint, dude, the paint and the tassels, the colors, and just remembering that, and then him, obviously not having the best of terms with the WWE or with people in general, as you've seen, but then him coming back and getting the ambassadorship with WWE, being a part of the WWE 2K games when he made his return. Um, and then watching that documentary of him return to the company and meeting up with Vince and hugging it out, and him and meeting up with Hogan and hugging it out, and him just reconciling with everybody that he's done wrong. It was almost like he knew that
Right.
he didn't have long to go on this earth, so he had to come back, make amends with everyone as fast as he could, make right with everyone, and then send off. And when watching him that Monday night do that speech that he did, the heart of the warrior lives on in all of you, and if you breathe your last breath, know that you'll live on forever, and all this stuff. Like that speech right there. And then someone just posted, which I totally forgot, Bray Wyatt, when he posted that thing that he wrote about wrestling being an escape, and writing this whole thing about it's for everybody. And you go back if you follow Action Figure Attack, he actually reposted it on his Instagram. But he wrote this long thing about wrestling as a love story, and and he goes on about how what people are involved with wrestling, how fans take to it, and it's a way to escape and all this stuff. And I put that thing that he wrote up there with Warrior's speech from Monday Night Raw, because that was those are both heartfelt things to the fans and to the to the wrestling universe, or the world of wrestling, if you want to put it that way, if you're not a WWE fan. But yeah, just those messages put out there by those two guys that had huge impacts respectively in their generations. It's just like you said, it's a sad thing. And then obviously with yesterday, Terry Funk,
Funkster,
passing away, the Funkster.
Let's get into Terry Funk in just a moment, but I want to just throw this up here because WWE.com posted this, and this really has me fucked up. Always seeing the memorial post in memory of, and
but
on the website. This is it looks like just one of those fucked up memes that someone would just it just feels like a complete doesn't feel real. It does not feel real.
No. And just seeing the 87 to 2023 is
I was born in 86,
just a short amount of time, dude.
And actually his birthday was a day before mine. So we're 364 days apart.
That's insane. Just to think, man. Yeah, it's just seeing that, just seeing those years together is mind blowing to me. It's like you said, 36 years young. To complications.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's an hour and 24 minutes of memory for Bray. What more can you say? Going to dearly miss him. Fuck.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. But
like I said, just coming off of like we said, Terry Funk is
let's get into Terry Funk. Let's change it up a little bit, and we go from one tragedy to another. Terry Funk passed away yesterday. Also, he was 79 years old. I'm going to be honest, being a younger fan should come as no surprise. I haven't seen really any of the only Terry Funk match that I've seen in full is for when we were doing Before Our Time. Shout out to Nick Storm. WrestleMania 2. of the Hosses. Going against, I think it was the British Bulldogs.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who his tag team partner right now. I can't think of his name, but yes.
Yeah. Do you want to go?
Was it Hoss Funk? I could be wrong, but
yeah. Here's what you need to do is young Anthony is go way before your time, before WrestleMania, and watch some Terry Funk.
Well, no, that's actually a lie.
Or even after. Go after, actually.
I watched in the build-up to the exploding barbed wire death match with Omega and Moxley. I did my research a little bit, pal, and I saw Onita versus Funk.
Wow.
I think FMW.
FMW.
Yeah.
So I watched their exploding death match.
Even go back to ECW and watch
ECW, and then also watch Funk versus Flair.
Funk Flair.
I think it's Clash at the
I've been meaning to watch that.
I think it's 9. But man, that's a good match. Yeah. And the setup up to that match as well too. It's at the end of the third trilogy from Flair and Steamboat at the end. Flair wins the title. I actually posted this yesterday, but I love the way Funk goes out. He's just like, he's like, maybe I'll challenge you for the title. I'm just kidding, man. I don't want to do that. And then he just boom.
Dude, Terry Funk, like, I mean, if you've seen all the everyone like condolences and all that stuff, and all the wrestlers out there giving their love and all that stuff to Terry Funk, dude. He's arguably, when they say like Mount Rushmore, obviously everyone thinks like, Hogan, Flair, Austin, and all this stuff. But a lot of people would put Terry Funk up there alongside Hogan and Ric Flair.
And they have a legitimate case for it too.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, him and Flair, him and Steamboat. I talk about this on the show. That was my retro. We did a retro recommendation, and I picked him and Cactus Jack at the deathmatch tournament from '95. That was the main event. The exploding barbed wire timed something. Yeah, that match I picked. But him and Steamboat had a really good match as well. Terry Funk and Steamboat. But he's one of those dudes that's just you get a guy like Terry Funk. No, I'm joking. But no, like arguably like a lot of those guys, like like the Moxleys, the Kingstons, the rough guys, we'll say, like the rough around the edges guys. They all picked Terry Funk, man. Terry Funk was one of those dudes. He's a brawler, dude. He'll kick the shit out of. He slapped the shit out of Paul Heyman on ECW TV. Someone, I forget what promo. Paul Heyman's talking. He says something about Terry Funk's daughter, and he just he's doing a promo. He just slaps the shit out of Paul Heyman mid promo, like right in the face. But yeah, man, dude. Yeah, that's another guy, dude. Terry Funk, man. You just go back and you'll be excited at it. Any one of his matches. Just pick anyone. Obviously, there's going to be like the go-to ones, but man, his promos. Talk about promos, like him and Bray Wyatt, like the Bray Wyatt Greywood promos. Terry Funk greater. Like, I mean, you're not going to get a bad.
Your mother's a whore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think of Jim Ross always going, "Oh, he's double tough and double crazy."
Yeah. The Briscoes, they're fans of the.
They said I saw something with the Briscoes too. They said something about Terry Funk. Do you think? Oh, you think Terry Funk would wear something? I can't remember what it was.
Oh, mouthpiece.
Mouthpiece, yes.
It's like wrestlers wear mouthpieces nowadays. Yeah.
You think Terry Funk would wear a mouthpiece?
You go back. I think it was if you want to do ECW, I think it was one of the first. This is always a weird thing. Was it the first three-way dance, as they called it, not a triple threat match? First ever three-way match. We'll Sabu, Shane Douglas, Terry Funk. Definitely go back and watch that if you want to get a good inkling.
That's definitely a great match.
But yeah,
No, but it's good, and we got to talk about Beyond the Mat too.
oh, Beyond the Mat, yes,
He's
that's right.
featured heavily on that, of
Yep.
course. Dennis Stamp. I wasn't booked, Terry. I'm not involved.
He was, yeah, man, a part of Hell in a Cell as well. 98.
Yeah,
He was the one that came to Mick Foley's aid.
You got choke slammed out of his shoes.
Yeah, got literally out of his shoes. Yeah, man, dude. Yeah, Terry Funk, dude. That's that was a rough one too. Seeing that yesterday. I mean, obviously he was up there in age, and
he had been ill. We knew that. I mean,
complications, but yeah, it's just you expect these these guys to live forever. That's that's one of the things as wrestling fans, you gotta come to grips with is you see these guys as superheroes, and women. Let's not leave the women out, but we see these individuals as superheroes, as people that are immortal, in the words of the Hulkster. We'll use that, but and then when they they expire, it's like it hits you. It's just like, damn, I thought this person was going to be here forever, and it's not the case with like with Scott Hall too. That was another one. Like
that one hit me hard. Yeah.
I mean, can't do another one. I mean, that'll be, we can't have another wrestler pass away, because usually they say death comes in threes. So especially with celebrities. So hopefully we don't see another one tomorrow or the next day, because that'll be a rough week for us wrestling fans going into the arguably the biggest night in wrestling, or afternoon in wrestling, coming up on Sunday.
Night in England.
I know, night in England, noon here, but yeah, man, rough week for us, for the fans, for the families, friends of these individuals. I mean, yeah, it's tough to talk about too. That's we got to give ourselves some type of commending for ourselves, even coming up doing this and talking about this. It's a pretty impromptu. We kind of talking off the cuff to be break the fourth wall. We didn't have anything planned. We just said, hey, we're just gonna come on and talk about Bray Wyatt and Terry Funk.
Yeah,
and here we are. So hopefully it was good.
Yeah,
hopefully it was entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there was stuff to talk about this week with the Nakamura promo was good, and Gable and Gunther was fun, and I honestly don't even remember what happened on SmackDown. But
I was Edge.
Yeah. Edge.
Edge. We could talk about Edge next week.
WWE don't like Edge.
Yeah. Now that we have now that he cleared the air earlier with the shutting down the dirt sheets.
Yeah. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it next week, just because it's fitting just to keep this episode for. I feel bad. We went an hour 20 on Bray, and we give Terry a little bit.
Oh yeah, I mean, Bray was that was a sudden too. That was a sudden.
Yeah. It's it's also
he's active, technically an active wrestler,
right? I'll go back and I'll watch some Terry Funk. I've been meaning to watch the Flair match.
Or watch Roadhouse. Like I say, he was in Roadhouse, a movie with Patrick Swayze.
Oh yeah.
It's a good movie. One of my favorites.
Watch Chainsaw Charlie.
Chainsaw Charlie, yeah.
Love some Chainsaw Charlie. Actually, I got it right. I got Terry right here.
Oh, there he is, right there with the
I have a Terry figure. He's buried in my bin.
Damn, that's probably a rare boy.
Yeah.
Questionable stuff on his shirt, whatever that is. We don't know what that is.
Salt. It's
salt residue.
You spilled the salt. That's what's the matter.
Any other final remarks on either guy before we wrap up this this show right here?
Well, I mean, I guess just always remember, these the good times especially with these guys. I'll say this, with those that are upset and lost and maybe confused, because a lot of these guys are on our TV, and I guess more specifically with Bray, but just always remember the good times, the good matches, good promos, all that stuff. I mean, we're not long for this world, and it's just a good reminder to hug your friends and kiss your enemies, pal.
Kiss your enemies, jeez. Yeah. Yeah, I'll just say with the, like you just said, piggyback off of J-Bone with the, we see these people every week on TV. And they're essentially your escape from the real world. And then when that escape, you lose that escape, that definitely, like you said, is gonna hurt it's gonna sting for a little bit when you lost that escape that you have from the the real world.
Yep.
It just like I said, just go back and if you can definitely find it, read that thing that Bray Wyatt wrote about wrestling and how it's a love story for us fans and stuff like that, and you can always find a different avenue to follow in. Obviously
Right.
he's gone, but you can still, they said, go back into the archives and relive some of his greatest moments. And there's also keep obviously as a wrestling fan, keep it alive, man. Just keep it going.
That's how you honor him.
Yeah, just keep it going.
Keep telling the good stories about him, and
yep.
And
keep watching wrestling. That's the other thing. Keep watching wrestling. Don't stop watching wrestling because
don't stop.
Yeah, just
watching wrestling.
He
It doesn't roll off the tongue as well.
No,
yeah, no,
it's better in my head.
Yeah, no, but just keep on keeping on, as they say.
Keep on keeping on. And if you want a good laugh tonight, do me a favor and go on Facebook and follow Thomas Montalto and look at the way that he spells Windham Rotunda. Oh my God.
Come on, man.
Oh no, come on, Tom.
Jesus Christ.
What? It's Windham. It's a Y and two I's.
No. You just gotta look. That'll give you a laugh in this very shitty last 2 days. But
I'm gonna look right now.
Oh my God.
Well, as you do that, I say it's
hey yo.
in the show.
I just saw it.
Wind
down.
Is it on his page? Like, is that a Facebook page?
Wind down.
Why damn?
God damn it. Folks, thank you for tuning in to a very rough episode of the RAWDOWN tonight. Definitely was not the show we were expecting to give you, but hope we did both guys justice tonight. And we will return to our regular.
Oh my God!
And Marco just saw the post.
Oh man, Rotundo.
I didn't even see that part.
Yeah,
What?
Rotundo.
All right. Anyways, keep on, Anthony.
I'm gonna screen grab this and I'm gonna send this to Tom later. But next week we'll be back regularly scheduled.
Autocorrect.
We'll be back with our regularly scheduled programming. Next week
funny.
is payback predictions.
Oh,
So
I'm gonna put
we'll
the
have-
Striz app on the line, huh?
we'll have a good amount to talk about next week. Before we go, if you guys want to do a little plug skis, get your shit out of the way. Marco, what do you have going on?
New episode of the Chick Foley show, freshly dropped today. We preview AEW All In at Wembley. We rarely get to have a full show of AEW talk. Obviously, we leave that to the Two Bad Chads to do, but we give our own little spin and twists on what we think is going to happen at All In, and all further details, obviously. Obviously, figure talk as well. Listener mail, of course. That always rounds it out. But and then obviously, new episode of Open Mic is out right now. Again, pretty good feedback. I know I kind of talk about it on the show too as well, because Seth loved it. He loved the episode, so definitely go and listen to it if you have Rucker from the Boot to the Face podcast on there. Very good conversation. Really enjoyed that one. New episode I'll be recording next week with a return guest, Queen G. She was on before talking some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff. So we'll recap, get her a review of the movie that just came out, Mutant Mayhem, and just catch up with her and talk some happy stuff after this episode. Try to lighten the mood a little bit, but obviously Chick Foley and IG, Chick Foley show on the X machine, I guess it is now, not the Twitter machine anymore.
I think it's officially the X machine.
On the Musk machine, as we'll call it. Follow us there, and Chick Foley show on chickfoley.com for everything else.
J-Bone coming down the aisle.
So coming down the aisle pod.com, I'm actually in the process of trying to reconfigure things because of this news. I believe the plan right now, I'm going to have my tag team partner, the Ultimate Miles, on this coming this Monday. Show's dropping every Monday. And then I may put out probably a separate episode about All Out and things like that. Just reviewing All Out. So I may be doing double duty. We'll see. Because it just feels weird, talking about All Out and also talking about, all this news. So you're gonna have to reconfigure some stuff. But I'll definitely have a new episode on Monday. And if I end up having Miles, my next guest will be the Macho Verse, maybe. So stay tuned for that.
Nice.
I already recorded the interview. So it's just like I said, it just feels weird because we kind of get into some shenanigans, being silly with the Macho Man stuff. But it doesn't really sit well to talk about Windham and then go into this. So so I'll probably have to reconfigure some stuff. But like I said, new episode drops Monday. Coming down the aisle pod.com, and also whenever I will be dropping actually the full interview with the Machoverse on my YouTube as well too. So
very nice. Very nice. We'll do a quick outro tonight. Just make sure that you are following the Turnbuckletavern.com. Get your Apple, Spotify, YouTube. We're on all of the social medias. We're on everywhere where you can find us. On X. We got to update that logo. But join our Discord too. We're starting to back up a little bit more. We're talking in there. We're having some good conversation. We're definitely going to want you in there for All In when we talk about what is built to be the biggest wrestling show of all time. So make sure you're in the conversation. Plus, a lot of fun stuff on the way. A lot of talks, a lot of discussion, a lot of good things happening here at the tavern. So make sure that you follow us everywhere. ProWrestlingTees.com/tavern is where you can get any merch if you want to support the tavern. It goes a long way. At Teespring as well. TheTurnbuckleTavern.com, mugs and stickers and all that fun stuff. So that's the episode today. Thank you for joining us on this journey through a tribute to Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt. We will see you right here, same time and same place for our payback predictions, which will be a very, very fun time. But until then, we're going to change it up this week. We won't do our usual outro, but until then,
we should.
Rest in peace, Terry Funk. Rest in peace to Bray Wyatt. And as always,
follow the buzzards.